Renewing your non-lucrative visa. What's new? What's happening? The process. And what requirements are needed. Okay, so in this video, I am going to run through all those things. I've just actually been looking at one of our client emails that we send out. We use these videos as part of our client email templates as we send them out. And I realized that the last video I did was nearly 3 years ago, and it was time to update it. So if you want to know about the non-lucrative visa renewal process, then stick around. Right, so it's time to renew your non-lucrative visa, and as I said, this video is going to be very much based around our client journey, but hopefully anybody who's renewing their non-lucrative visa, you'll find this interesting as well. We're very fortunate that we have an awful lot of clients that we've been through the full journey with them, from talking to them 2 years before their NLV to getting the NLV to their first renewal, people coming up to the second renewal, and then very soon we're going to have some permanent residency people going through. But our video that we have been using for our clients is now 2 or 3 years old, and I thought, you know what, it's time to update the video as some things have changed as well. So first of all, obviously we had a change of the law in the 20th of May 2025, a law that was actually brought into force 6 months ago. But there's this sort of 6-month adaptation period for people to read it before it actually kicks off, and there wasn't that many changes to the renewals in terms of the financial requirements. There was for the renewal period, which is the first thing that I need to explain to you. So now you can start your renewal 2 months before the card actually expires, your TIE card, and you have up to 3 months afterwards to submit your renewal, though I wouldn't suggest that you push that window too far back. It's always best that your paperwork is actually dated within that period. So if you're looking at submitting your documents right at the front end of the renewal period, things like bank statements need to have a date which falls into that window. We always find that's the best way forward. So yeah, basically I'm going to explain to you now for all our clients. If you're watching this and you're our client, you just got the email, then this is what's going to happen. So first of all, I've sent you this email. You've come on board, you've paid your initial deposit, and in this email you're going to see that there is a link for you to fill out for us, which is for your application form details. Now you might be thinking, well, why on earth do we need to fill this out if we're already a client of Upsticks and they've got half of these details on file? Well, basically this is just our confirmation. This actually marks a line in the sand, today's date, to confirm, to make sure you've still got the same passport, that you haven't moved, that nothing's changed in your circumstance. So you're going to find there's a bit of repeated information that you think that we already have on there, but this is our line in the sand. And when we get this form, we always check that against the old documents and make sure there's nothing that we've missed. So it's very important that we have that to hand. There's also a link for the GDPR, because we need you to sign that again, because we're going to be collecting documents from you. Now, in terms of the requirements, we're going to go through the process and the requirements now. Well, let's go through the process. So the first thing is you fill out that form and we get your application forms completed for you. And you're also going to see a checklist on the email, which gives you basically tick boxes as to what we're going to need from you. I'll go through the checklist, but our process is that we will complete the form, send them to you. We also send you another email showing you where to sign the form, send them back to us signed. This is all scanned. Remember that everything for the renewal is done on a digital platform to be submitted digitally. So you need good quality scans to submit the documents on the Mercuria government platform. They won't really accept photos and shadows on documents and stuff that you can't really see, but we'll run you through through that now. What we do is we collect all the documents, and as you're sending them to us, so you might send them in separate emails. Some people send us OneDrive links, some people send us Google links. Some people actually come to the office and do the scanning here because it's difficult to scan an awful lot of documents. Other people, actually, we send couriers out to you to go and get the documents. The couriers then bring the copies to us. This happens quite a bit with the copies of the passports and stuff. And with a secure courier, they bring it to us and we scan the documents here. So whichever way we agree that you're going to send the documents to us, we start parking them all in a file. And once you tell us that everything is there, then we actually set some time aside in the diary, say about an hour, to go through the documents and check that they are all there, that they're correct. We do a full review, and from the full review, we then decide what translations are going to be needed or if there's any documents missing. So let me just run you through the requirements. The first thing is, evidently, you're going to need a Modelo EX01. I've got, now this is our handy checklist that you would have received in your email as well digitally. And if you want it printed, we can send it to you. That's not a problem. So you're going to get an EX01 after you've filled out the form for us. We're going to send that to you via email. You need to print it, sign it, or sign it online using just an online signing mechanism. They've never had a problem with that as well, as long as you sign in the box and send it back to us. And you're also going to get a documento de designación de representante. This is a document which, if you watch the video we send, which is live on this channel as well, it just allows us to act on your behalf while doing the presentation. Simultaneously, we create some tax forms known as a Modelo 790052, the 790052. Now, you will never see these forms if you're one of our clients because you don't need to. We pay it on your behalf. It's part of the fees that we charge you, and that is paid online. A digital payment record is created, attached to the actual tax form itself, and submitted with your documents when we do it online. You probably won't even know that this document exists, but we create that along with the application forms, get that paid. It doesn't need a signature from you because that's all done online. We will need a full copy of your passport, every single page. Yes, it's a pain. I know it's a pain, but every single page, a decent copy, scan of the passport. And if you have changed your passport, we need a full copy of your previous passport and your current new passport. So if your passport's coming up for renewal, at the time that we submit the documents, we only need a valid passport. It doesn't have to be one that has a determined amount of time on afterwards. But doing a renewal during the process, it can be done if we have the proof of the renewal going through. But if I was you, I'd try and judge it to do it before or afterwards, because you've got that 5-month window, haven't you? And it can be a bit of a pain. But yeah, we need a copy of every page and of your old one. Residency card, well, normally we have these on file for you, but if you're one of our clients and we've been there at the pickup to get your card, mainly we do that in Malaga because it's quite a scary place to go. Other police stations you would have gone on your own just to pick up your card. We may only have a photo of it or whatever, so we always ask you to submit your TIE card front and back anyway. Again, it's all about double checking, making sure you've got the right docs, etc., etc. We're then going to ask you for your private health care. If you have recently had a renewal, then we're going to ask you for your certificate and the proof of the payment of the renewal. If you haven't renewed yet, depending on the time of the year, then we'll ask you to get a updated certificate from your provider, so it will show still the dates that you're covered till, and it's very important that certificate says at the end of it that is renewable, that it's automatically renewed. And there's certain times in the year that you may have to pay for your next policy. We'll discuss this when we have our call, which I forgot to mention. Actually, normally once you've had your email, we'll jump on a call just to discuss things like the finances, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So there's a few different circumstances with the health insurance. If you've got private health insurance, then you're going to need your certificate proving you've got it. and the proof of payment. A lot of the time you'll find that depending on what part of the year you're in when it renews, the company wants to renew you to the end of the year, not give you a full year, and then put you in the January to December cycle. Normally that's not a problem, because that's how normal health insurance is run in Spain. It's always been adapted for the NLV, where the initial consult appointment needs a specific time span. So towards the end of the year, if you've been put into that sort of rhythm, say you're here September, October, November, and your health insurance runs out in December, we have seen it in the past where people have had to pay for the full year following year because there's only a few months left on the policy. So, but again, that depends when you're doing it, who you're with, and how your policy is running. We'll discuss that with you. If you got an S1 registration through us, and we did it for you as part of your process, in the first renewal, we will still have the certificate from the previous years, which shows that you have the access to the healthcare, so you won't need to do anything. On the second renewal, normally we have to request an updated certificate, which we may have to do for a digital certificate. So we'll let you know, but it's basically, it's for people who aren't our clients. You have to show them the certificado de acceso, the certificado de derecho a asistencia sanitaria. It's not just your SIP card or your healthcare card or whatever. The healthcare card only proves that you're given a card at some point. The actual certificate from Social Security comes with a code at the bottom which says what dates your healthcare is valid until, and a lot of the times in S1s it's just automatically renewed. But it's very important to have that certificate. Again, if you're a client of ours and we've done your registration before, it's not a problem, because we'll either have that or we'll be able to get it for you. If you have changed, imagine this is one. If you've changed from private to convenio especial, of course, or if you've changed from private to S1, then we need your current healthcare certificate, whether it's been a registration with a convenio or a registration with the S1. And this year, we have had it where 3 occasions Malaga have asked us to prove the continuity, the continuity, let's call it that. I've just made up a word there. There you go, Spanglish word. The people have continued to have healthcare during the period of the renewal. So it's always important to keep your old documents as well. We're going to move on then to the proof of financial stability. Remember, for a couple, if you're using joint finances, it is, well, it's 28,800 a year as it currently stands, 400% EBREM. If you're a couple, it's 36,000 euros per year. But just remember that that actually doubles if you're using savings, because you are renewing for 2 years. So if it's savings and you're a couple, that doubles up to 72,000 euros. Now, what we do with our clients is we normally book in a call and see what their current circumstance is, because people's circumstances change. Some people come in on savings and then they get pensions and adopt a passive recurring income regime. On your checklist, we have here the things like how to do it in a Spanish bank, if you've got UK banks, pension payments. So when we send you a checklist out, check it out, then we'll book in a call. We'll talk to you about the best way to present your finances. The general rule is, just remember that for an individual applicant at the moment, in this date, the 3rd of June 2025, it's still 28,800 per year for a single applicant, which is 57,600. He says it's too late in the day now. Where's the calculator? 57,600. Oh no, 57,200. Sorry, 28,800 times 2 equals 57,600. Yeah, I was right. For the 2-year period. So if you're working on a basis of just savings, that's what you'd need in the bank. And it's also handy to have the proof of what you've actually been living off, because they want to know that you've not only have you got that in the bank, but what you actually live off as well. For a couple, that would be 36,000 times 2, which is 72. Now, what you can do with passive income is offset passive recurring income against the total of savings needed. So say, for example, you had 20,000 a year in passive recurring income for a couple. That would pensions or rentals or something like that. That would actually double over the 2-year period to 40, which means you'd only have to prove 36,000 in savings. Now, we always say it's a good idea not to toe the line too much, always have a bit more. Bear in mind that EPREM could go up at any point as well. And any documents which are not in Spanish and not produced in Spain from Spanish banks or Spanish entities or Spanish authorities will definitely need a translation this year, contrary to the first year. If you've just been to the consulate in your first year's renewal, they didn't want any translations normally from the UK. Other consulates around the world do, but in the UK they don't. But this year, every single document presented in English has to have a translation, because you're dealing directly with the sub-delegation of the government here in Spain. They won't accept English documents. Last year it was a consulate who did the due diligence on your finances. So yeah, what else we've got to say about the finances? And then recently we've actually had a request from Malaga only for notarized and apostilled bank account statements, which was just crazy, really, which we ended up getting done, believe it or not. But we don't normally see that across the other regions yet. We have seen that in Malaga, and we've seen that on both the NLV and the EU family members front as well. So next one on the list is your marriage certificate. If you have assets which aren't joint, or only one member, if you're a couple, sorry, and only one member of the marriage or civil partnership holds all the assets, is a good idea to present a marriage certificate. Remember, the marriage certificate has to be dated within 90 days, and if it's not from Spain or a European country, it will need an apostille and quite possibly a translation as well. What happens if you haven't got a marriage certificate or you can't get one? Well, if you can't get one, then if you can't get one because you've got married in a place which is impossible to get that updated copy that immigration always want, then you're going to have to give them as much proof as possible that you are a couple. But it's best to try and keep your assets joint. It's a joint bank account. Even if there's somebody getting a pension, make sure it's paid into a joint bank account so they can see that it is a joint application. You can relate that to the previous application, which was also joint. Again, the marriage certificate depends very heavily on personal financial circumstances, and we also discuss that with our clients when we move forward. Not really much of our we don't many of these demographics of children on NLVs. To be honest, we only have a few families on our books. But if you have got dependents who are minors, then you're going to have to present their birth certificates apostilled and translated as well. And also, don't forget, children of schooling age have to present proof of being registered at a school. So we've mentioned the translations, we've mentioned the document quality, supplementary documents that you can provide. Well, things like a Padron always help, though you might end up getting a second Padron when we come to the TIE part. And once you've got your approval through, you might end up getting another Padron, because the one that you previously got for this initial application will be out of date. And to be honest, it's not even requested on the platform, though we do like to submit one anyway, just to prove, the continuity of you living in Spain. It's for the first part of the process, it's not always requested. But then we request it for our clients because it helps us marry up the address to make sure the application forms are right, to make sure nothing's changed. So yeah, going to send us a Padron anyway. So we've got everything together. What's happened is now we've got a file. I've got in my calendar, Chris, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, you need to do the file review. So when we go into the file review, we're checking for everything like missing pages in the passport, illegible documents. We're checking for the dates and times on the documents to make sure they fall in line with the renewal. We're checking for the amount of the passive income. Quite possibly we're going to have to write an escrito. An escrito is a letter which, again, you may not see if you're one of our clients, but it's a descriptive letter which explains to the subdelegation of the government the documents that we're providing, especially surrounding the financials if it's a complicated structure. And then at the end of that review, we then compress the documents into a reasonable file which will fit onto the Mercuria platform. Or we go back to you and say, you're missing this, you're missing that, we think this, we think that, and we need to send these documents for translation. If there are documents that need translation, they then get sent back to us in a digital format by our translator with a digital signature ready to present on the platform. Recently now, and stupidly, might I add, all this documentation that you provide has to be presented on the platform in less than 15 megs. Okay, so it's an awful lot of compression, but keeping the same quality goes on with your file. And they've now reduced the amount of document uploads that we can do. So there's only one tab to upload financial documents. And sometimes financial documents could be 20, 30, 40 sheets of paper. And per tab, there's a maximum of 6 meg uploads. So you can imagine the headache we have, considering sometimes we even upload people's property deeds to prove their own property. An asset can, in Spain can be uploaded. So yeah. So, but anyway, that's our job, our worry, our problem. Once your documents are all uploaded, they're signed, etc., and we are ready to present it on the Mercuria platform, we go on, we present it on the Mercuria platform, which have recently changed, actually. It's now asks you whether you are the person who holds the financial assets or you are a beneficiary of the person who holds the financial assets. And if you're a beneficiary, we then have to go through the process of filling out all your details, and then the person who is essentially sponsoring or has the financial stability to allow you to live with them. And if you're the person who has the financial stability or proof of being able to renew, then you don't have to prove who you're actually sponsoring. It's only changed the last week or so. But anyway, again, that's our problem. We go on to Mercuria, make the submission, and then we wait. We have to wait. We wait a bit more, and we wait a bit more, and it's very much like waiting for the visa. It's very unpredictable. You don't know exactly when they're going to kick it out, when you're going to get a response, but we normally do get within a few days a en trámite notification. En trámite means in process, which means we know it's gone in and it's on the desk, and there's not a lot we can do to force their hand until we get a response back. What we do here in the office is every Monday, we run through all the submissions that we've done. We check them on the government platform, because you can do that using the NIE number, the date of submission, and the date of birth, to check that it's actually in process in case we don't get the notification, or to see if something's happened and we haven't received the notification. So after that, the notifications that you can receive are either a approval, which means you move on to what we call stage 2, getting your TIE card, a requerimiento, which is a document requesting further information, and you have 10 working days to produce that information. Normally it's 10 working days. I haven't seen 10 días naturales. It's always laborales, or if it only says 10 days, then you have to consider that as 10 working days. Won't include weekends and bank holidays. Or if you get denied, then you will have 30 days to submit your initial appeal. But we're not going to talk about denials now, because that never normally happens, as long as you've provided the correct documents. What happens regularly is they come back and they may question a document, and then you just go back to them with the response to what they've questioned. Once you've handed in that response within the 10 days, which is also done on the Mercuria platform, then normally you'd expect the resolution to come through quite quickly after that. So you've got your approval, and we're moving on to stage 2, which deserves a bit of coffee, I think. Stage 2, what happens? Well, then we contact you and basically let you know that stage 2 has been approved. Your visa renewal has been approved. We then take our second part of our payment, because we do it in 2 stages, like we do the NLV. It's 50% up front and 50% on approval. And then we get busy and to work looking for your TIE card appointment. Go and give them your Tom of the Weyer fingerprints, where you will have to hand in your old card. And well, actually, you don't normally now. I'm talking rubbish. What you normally have to do is you go to the appointment with your old card. We have the folder ready. You will meet our appointment specialist. This point, there's no paperwork you have to send us aside from maybe an updated Padron. You do have to prepare yourself some photographs to go with, because they're going to take your photo like you did the first time. So the carnet side passport style photos, which are smaller, remember they're carnet size. You're going to need to bring one of those with you, maybe an updated Padron, obviously original passport and your original TIE card. Everything else we do for you. So we pay the $790,012. You probably won't even see that form, that tax that comes in your folder with our appointment specialist. Your Modelo EX17 it is for the card. So we present an EX01 to get the approval, EX17 for the new TIE card. That will be filled out and ready to go. So you've just got to meet our appointment specialists when and where we tell you, and with what we tell you to bring, which, just to repeat myself, passport, TIE card, possibly an updated Padron, and a photo as well. Two things we really ask is the current situation for getting appointments is pretty dire. It's very, very bad. And we've had it, unfortunately, where we've had to split couples, not only on days, but on different police stations, because it's all we can get. Please, 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 please try your best to go to the appointment that we have reserved for you. It's a crazy state of affairs at the moment. To put it into context, we have a lady who lives in Montreal who's having to go all the way to Batha, 2.5 hours away, to get her residency card, because we couldn't get an appointment in Montreal, and timeline dictates we can only get one on Batha. Well, she's got to go. So yeah, but it is the most important part of your life, because without it you can't live here. So that's it. And it's as frustrating for us as it is for you. We don't want our appointment specialist to go 2 times to 2 different police stations for one couple. We certainly don't want that, but that's what we do if that's what's needed to get it done. So yeah, if when you stage 2 and your approval's through, if you do have 2 separate appointments, sorry, but you've got to go. That's just the way it is at the moment with the government appointment booking system. When you do go to your appointment and you go in, you're gonna do your fingerprints very much like you did the previous year. You hand over the application forms, the taxes, the approval letter, and your card and your passport. They're going to scan your passport, scan the card, take the photo. Now, this is something that really annoys me. This really annoys me. The photos cannot be more than 6 months old, which means if you take the same photo that you used the previous year and you go to the desk and they take one look at it and go, sorry, this photo is too old, because we can see it's exactly the same photo as you had last year. But then on many occasions, we get clients to go to the trouble of getting new photos, and they have to go pay for the photos, bring them with them, and then they'll just look at them and go, oh, they haven't changed much, we're going to keep the photo. And I'm like, change it. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. We have to tell you to bring one, whether they use it or not is their prerogative. Once you've been through that process, you'll be handed your card back, normally with a resguardo document, which is a document which proves that you've actually been and registered your TIE card. Some police stations give them back, some don't. Your TIE card, but whatever happens, you'll always have your resguardo, your document proving that you've registered your renewal. You are now got your renewal in play, and your new card is being registered. I'm sorry, it's being produced. Then we'll give you a pickup appointment. Some police stations don't require an appointment. Some require specific appointments. Some have a queuing system depending on where you're going. We'll let you know. And then you have to go back after around 30 days to get your new card. And it's happy days for another 2 years. So there we go. That is the NLV renewal process. If you are one of our clients, then we will be calling you anyway, just to have a deep dive into the finances and see what you're going to be presenting. Aside from that, don't listen to any rubbish online that the renewal is for 4 years after the first year, because it's not. That was just part of a draft law that a lot of people sensationalized to get hits on YouTube. It never came through. The appointment booking systems are very haphazard, so make sure you definitely go to your appointment. And yeah, that's all the advice we can give you. So that's our client email for client video for our client email, but I'm gonna get it in the public domain anyway. Hopefully it would have helped some of you guys out there. If you are going through a renewal or you need help, contact us. We don't always take on, to be honest, all renewals from clients who haven't been through the full NLV process with us, because sometimes it's difficult to pick up in the middle. But yeah, you know, you can book a call, we'll have a chat, and if it looks like we can help you, we will help you. Aside from that, don't forget our weekly updates on Thursdays at 6 p.m. They're going very well at the moment, where we'll give you all the updates on what's been happening in our world during the week and around Spain, and what I'll show you what comments we've got on YouTube and what our clients have been sending us in as well. And if you want to book a call, we're going to stick here the QR code to book a call in the corner to discuss either your initial NLV application or your renewal. Thanks for watching, guys.